the leading tone occupies a really special place within the major scale. And in this video, I'd like to give you a sense of why that is. So I've written out here the last three measures of Over the Rainbow. And I've written it out in a little piano vocal arrangement. So the voice part is on the top, and then the bottom two staves are the right and left hand of the piano. Let me just play through this little arrangement. Now I'm going to play through this arrangement again, but I'm going to do that thing where I stop before I get to the very last chord and the very last note of the melody, and just let's experience what that sounds like and what that feels like. It's incredibly unsatisfying. It feels unfinished. It feels like we can't stop there. It's not until we get back to that last chord and that last note of the melody that we really feel like we've arrived home. And we know at least in part why this is happening. And if we analyze the scale degrees of the last five notes, let's actually do that. So I'm going to start from the third beat of the second measure here. So we start on the F, scale degree 4, the G, scale degree 5, the B, the A, scale degree 6, the B, which is scale degree 7, or the leading tone, and then we come back to the C, which is scale degree 8, which we know is the same as scale degree 1, or the tonic. So 4, 5, 6, 7, back to the tonic. And we've already talked about this. We know that that leading tone does have a special pull that brings us back to scale degree 1 or back to the tonic. And we can hear that even if I just play the melody and stop short before we get back to the tonic. It just doesn't sound like we've gotten there until we get back to scale degree 8. What we haven't talked about yet, though, is why is this such a strong pull? And part of the reason has to do with the pattern of half steps and whole steps that we have in a major scale. Remember, the half steps that we find in our major scale always happen between scale degree 3 and 4 and scale degree 7 and scale degree 8. So there's every other interval is the interval of a whole step. Up between 3 and 4 we have the half step, and then between 7 and 8 we have the half step. So there's something about that half step. There's less distance between scale degree 7 and scale degree 8. There's the distance of only one half step, whereas in most of the other scale degrees we have the distance of a whole step. There's something about that smaller distance that it takes to get from 7 to 8 that makes that pull even more intense. So that half-step relationship between scale degree 7 and scale degree 8 is part of what makes the leading tone as strong as it is. What's also interesting is if we look down in the chords, we see that the final two chords we have are the 5 chord and the 1 chord. And it's no coincidence that the 5 chord, the second to last chord that we have, is a chord that also contains the leading tone. Remember, the 5 chord is going to be in the key of C, is going to be G, B, and D, which means the third of the chord is scale degree 7, or the third of the chord is the leading tone. So there's something about that, having that leading tone in the harmony, that also intensifies that. And in fact, this progression of 5 to 1, or of the dominant to the tonic, is going to be a progression that we see all the time at the end of phrases. It's a very, very strong sort of finishing progression. So you combine this very strong 5-to-1 chord progression with this ascent in the melody that finishes with a 7 to the 8, and you have what feels like a very strong and a very definite ending. And if we interrupt that ending, that's where we get that feeling of complete interruption. Let me go back and just play this excerpt again and let you hear it in context. Now understanding the two of the forces that are at work here. That leading tone going up to the tonic, which is only a half step, and then this 5-to-1 progression in the harmony, where we also have the leading tone involved. And in fact, the way that I've done the voice leading here, you'll see the leading tone in my right hand goes right up to the tonic. So here we go. I'm going to play this whole thing so you can hear that now in context.